Welcome to Grants World with Gabby and Michelle,
where we demystify the wonderful world of grants. In the first part of this video, we will be answering some questions to help you dig a little deeper with grants. We will answer the top 10 questions we receive once someone has found a grant and is considering moving forward.
In the second part of the video, we will provide our insider tips to surviving the grant development process. Michelle and I have combined decades of experience with grants and are happy to pass along what we have learned along the way. Let's get started with our top 10 questions from the field. Number 1, I found this grant. I've never written a grant before. Where do I even start? I would recommend you start by thoroughly reading the guidelines. Solicit the help of someone on your team or at your district that can provide some guidance. Remember, the best way to learn about a grant is to write one.
Number 2, how much time does it take to write a grant? The time it takes is dependent on the requirements of the RFA. For example, you could have a small grant being submitted to a community organization, or you could be taking on an extensive federal grant application, which typically requires a lot more time and effort. There is no one answer for this particular question because it depends on requirements.
Number 3, is there a time of the year that funding is available? We get this question a lot. Although there are certain grants that are released in a cyclical pattern, funding is available from a variety of funders throughout the year. There is not a typical grant season.
Number 4, how much money should I ask for? First, look to see what the RFA states about funding. Second, determine the amount of funding needed for the project that you want to launch. For example, if you have an idea for a large-scale project and the grant that you are pursuing is limited, you might want to evaluate possible opportunities for matching and/or in-kind support.
Number 5, how long does it usually take to receive the funding? It all depends on the funder. There are generally separate timelines. From when you submit your grant to when you receive notification to when you actually receive dollars can vary from several weeks to several months.
Number 6, how do I know if my organization is eligible to apply? Typically, the RFA provides a list of eligibility criteria. Sometimes additional clarification is needed. In these cases, you can contact the grant maker directly.
Number 7, who decides if a grant is awarded? Who reviews the proposals? Typically, funders have their own review and scoring process. For some, it includes a robust process that can include multiple reviewers, such as blind reviewers, and multiple rounds of scoring. To address the second part of the question, grant reviewers can include a variety of people with various expertise. For small funders, it could be their board members. For other funders, they may solicit the support of reviewers who have undergone an application process and have verified subject matter expertise.
Number 8, what are some examples of typical projects that are awarded funding? There is funding for almost anything you can dream of. For example, we have seen funding for the installation of AstroTurf for a school soccer field, and funding for the implementation of professional development regarding computer science standards. There is a spectrum.
Number 9, what happens after you get a notice that your grant has been awarded? First, you celebrate. Then we would recommend that you reach out to your school or district leadership regarding the protocol and processes for the acceptance of funds with your board.
And our final question is, what do you wish someone had told you about writing a grant before you started? Do not underestimate the workload that some proposals require, such as large state and/or federal grants. Also, the grant process is 100% doable. Like with anything else, the more you practice, the easier the process will be. You have already taken the first step by watching the first part of this video.
That concludes our top 10 questions from the field. We hope you found them useful and are excited about tackling your next grant.